Have you ever wondered what yogurt really is? To put it simply, yogurt is just fermented milk. That means ordinary milk that has been transformed by action of good bacteria into something creamy, tangy, and packed with nutrients. Before I share how I make my own yogurt at home, let me say this. I have been making yogurt for over 5 years now. In that time, I have even built a business around it in Nigeria, selling Greek yogurt and other healthy treats. So everything I'm sharing with you today is not just theory. It comes from deep experience, countless trials, and lessons I've learned in the process. And honestly, I am sharing this as a way of paying forward a kindness that was once shown to me. I first learned yogurt making from a friend, Eno Queen. She has a YouTube channel you can follow. Her name is Enoma on YouTube. Back then, I had just gotten married, and when I saw her make yogurt, I immediately picked interest. At first, it wasn't even for business, but when I posted my results online, people began asking for it. And I thought, well, if people need it, why not share it? That's how the business side began. So today I'll be teaching you the basic of yogurt making, so you too can make yours right at home. No complicated machines or fancy equipment, just the essentials. Let's start with what you'll need. A scale or measuring cup, especially for powdered milk. But if you're using liquid milk, you can actually skip measurements. A thermometer for checking milk. This is optional. Personally, I've been using the old school method for years and it works just fine. But I got this thermometer to show you, and it reads in either Fahrenheit or I think degrees Celsius. Whichever one works for you, just go for it. A whisk. This whisk is for mixing. If you don't have one, a spoon works just fine. An airtight container. I love these jars because they are not only super tight, but they are aesthetically pleasing. But honestly, you don't need anything fancy. Any airtight container, even plastic, will work. And of course, a pot. You only need this if you're not using a yogurt maker. Alright, so this method is especially for people who don't own one. So I'll be walking you through the simple, straightforward way. Now, one very important note is that all your utensils must be very clean. You don't want any unwanted bacteria competing with the good bacteria that will be added to the milk later on. Now, let's get into the preparation proper. The star ingredient in making yogurt is milk. There are different types of milk: skimmed milk, low-fat milk, full-fat milk, etc. Honestly, any of them can work. I've even tried skimmed milk before, and yes, it worked, but I didn't like the taste and it didn't give me the creamy texture I was looking out for. So beyond these categories I just mentioned, there are also different forms of milk within them. For example, you'll find instant fill milk, creamers, and other blends. But here's the truth: for good yogurt, what you're really looking for is whole milk. Whole milk hasn't been mixed with vegetable fats or additives, so you get the full nutrition, the right texture, and the authentic yogurt taste. Now, if you want a lower fat content, you can go for skimmed milk, but personally, if I'm making yogurt, I like to get all of it. And of course, if you're making Greek yogurt, you'll be straining it afterwards, which removes some lactose, reduces sugar, and thickens it beautifully. So your milk can come in two forms again: liquid milk and powdered milk. Powdered milk is simply dehydrated milk that is made to last longer on the shelf. Whatever you have access to is fine, okay? So I'll show you both methods, but let's begin with powdered milk. So here's the ratio I use. For every 1 cup of powdered milk, which is about 100 grams, is 2 cups of water, which is about 400 ml. It's basically turned the powdered milk back into its liquid form. So mix it very well so that there is no lump, just as I am doing now. And next, pour it into a pot and heat it over medium heat. Milk burns very fast, so just make sure to stir continuously. You want to heat the milk to about 80 to 85 degrees Celsius, or don't let it burn hard. Boiling alters the nutrient flavor and the texture of the yogurt. Now, to check the temperature, you can use a thermometer if you have one, but honestly, I have used the old school method for years. Here's how it works. Wash your hands thoroughly, then dip your clean pinky finger into the milk. So if you cannot count up to 3 because it feels too hot, then it's just right. That's around the correct temperature range. So this thermometer was wasting my time, so I had to just move on. Once it is ready, make sure you turn off the heat and move to the cooling process. So to cool it down quickly, I place the pot over a basin of water. This is optional. If the weather is cold where you are, you don't necessarily have to do this. So if you want it to cool faster, this is how you do it. So I want my milk to cool about, say, 43 to 45 degrees Celsius. Again, you can test this with a thermometer, or simply place a drop on the back of your hand, just as you have seen me do. If it feels warm and comfortable, and neither hot nor cold, then it is ready. At this point, take the pot out of the water immediately. If you've watched till this point, thank you so much. Kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you will be the first to know whenever I post a new video. Also, give this video a thumbs up and so more people can see it, and drop a comment below. Will you be trying this recipe? Have you tried making yogurt before? What challenges did you face? Or maybe you've got some tips to share. And how long have you been making yogurt? Really love to hear from you. So now let's continue. Meanwhile, your starter culture should already be ready. All right, so there are 3 ways to get a starter culture, and I'll be showing you the first, which is the store-bought yogurt that contains live cultures. So live cultures are basically beneficial bacteria. They are good bacteria, and they're also known as probiotics. So they help to turn the milk into yogurt. Sometimes you see them listed as Lactobacillus bulgaricus or Streptococcus thermophilus. So their job is to break down the natural sugar in your milk, which is called the lactose, and in this process they produce lactic acid. This acid thickens the milk and gives us yogurt, which makes it safe from harmful bacteria. I only used about a quarter cup. You don't need too much. So next, I'll add a little warm milk to the yogurt to balance the temperature, and then pour it back into the pot of warm milk and mix it thoroughly to combine. That is basically how you use the store-bought yogurt that has live culture in it. Now, second will be the dry yogurt starter. It is a powdered culture that contains freeze-dried live bacteria. So usually the species that I mentioned earlier on, so they are actually beneficial bacteria. How do you use it? You simply dissolve a small amount of the dry starter into a warm milk. Again, the same temperature as the aforementioned. Your milk should be at that stage before adding the live culture, so you do not kill the culture. So then you incubate it for about 6 to 10 hours. So one thing about this one is that the result is controlled, the consistency, the flavor, etc. So it is convenient to store, especially if you want to travel. You can just put in your bag. The third will be homemade pepper starter. Yes, more like a natural traditional way of introducing bacteria into milk. The idea is to place a clean pepper. I got these green peppers. If you're in Nigeria, you can just use shombo into warm milk, and just the same temperature of the warm milk I spoke about earlier on, and then you leave it for several hours. I've tried 16 hours, so I think from 12 to 16 hours at room temperature should do the magic. Scientifically, what happens is that the surface of the pepper naturally carries lactic acid bacteria, so the same family of microorganisms used in yogurt making. So when the pepper is submerged in milk, those beneficial bacteria transfers into the milk. It multiplies and then it starts fermenting the lactose, just like in the dry starter. The bacteria converts lactose to lactic acid you get. So to use this one is the same thing like I said. So the thing about this particular one is that it's not predictable as the dry starter, because you're depending on the natural microbes present on that pepper. So each time I make this, I have different results. It's not always the same results. So once your starter has been introduced into your warm milk, I just went on a series of 3 different starters. Either of them that you use, once your starter has been introduced into your milk, immediately transfer into a clean airtight container to keep it warm, which is the incubation process. So I like to wrap mine in polythene bag and place it in the oven. You may also wrap it in duvet or in a warm place, anywhere that is warm. Even in your microwave, you can put it there, even in an oven, and turn on the lights. That's if the weather where you are is cold. You can just turn on the lights without necessarily turning on the temperature of your oven and leave it there. So what matters is keeping the environment warm for fermentation. All right, now set a timer for at least 8 hours. Your yogurt can sit anywhere between 6 to 12 hours. So the longer it ferments, the tangier it becomes, which also makes it less lactose, making it perfect for people who are lactose intolerant. Personally, I keep mine for 8 hours, but I've even left it for 24 hours before. Not intentionally, I forgot about it. But to my greatest surprise, it did not spoil. It just came out more sour, which actually worked perfectly for me, especially as someone who is lactose intolerant. It's time to check the consistency of the yogurt. Remember, I kept it for 8 hours. Now, I didn't use the traditional starter, so I only showed you how it is made. Notwithstanding, I can make a different video on that some other time, alright? The traditional one, as I mentioned earlier, usually takes around 16 hours, but this is what it looks like after 8 hours. Remember, I put all of them together, so I just want to quickly show you since I'm making a video at once. You see that it's forming quite alright, and mind you, if you keep it longer, like I said, double the 8 hours, which is 16 hours in total, it will get thicker. So because of the weather here, it's quite cold this season, I actually had to keep mine a bit longer than 16 hours to get that perfect texture. But notwithstanding, this is what we got. I'll also include a clip from the very first batch I made from back home in Nigeria, where the temperature is naturally warmer. You'll notice how beautifully it's set compared to this one. Now let's take a closer look at the 2 types. the store-bought and the dry starter. The one made with the store-bought yogurt isn't completely smooth. You see that? So that's because it depends on the texture of the yogurt you used as your starter. So whatever consistency your starter has, that's exactly how your yogurt will turn out. And now look at this one, the one made with the dry starter. The consistency is smooth, it's creamy, and it's controlled. So it's actually reliable to me. I mean, it gives you a very professional result every single time. Whatever works for you, again, is fine. So moving on, to stop the fermentation process, place the yogurt in the refrigerator and let it chill for about 8 hours. This cooling step stops the bacteria from fermenting further and stabilizes the taste. So at this stage, you now have yogurt. If you mix it, you'll get a smooth yogurt drink. You can enjoy it plain or sweeten it with sugar, honey, date syrup, or any natural sweetener of your choice. You can even blend in some fruits, yes. Use it as a base for salad cream. I even have a video of that. It will pop up now, but do not leave this video and go watch it. You can watch that later on. Now, if you would like to take it further and make Greek yogurt, I'll be showing you exactly how I do that. At this point, I know this video is very long, but trust me, you're not going to go empty. You're going to leave here with so much knowledge. I told myself I wasn't going to make any video on yogurt if I can't sit down, section it this way. I mean, I really had to take my time to do this because I want to document it basically. If you have watched till this point and you have learned more than you thought you will, encourage me by clicking the like button, okay? Thank you. So Greek yogurt is simply regular yogurt that has been strained to remove excess whey. By straining it, we concentrate the protein, we reduce the water content, and then it is rich and creamy, you know, in texture. So to do this, I'll place a clean muslin cloth or a cheesecloth over a sieve in another container to collect the whey. I know at this point you're asking yourself, is this a cheesecloth? Well, because of where I moved to, I couldn't find a muslin cloth or even a proper cheesecloth at first. So I just searched everywhere, but no luck. So I had to do this video. So I decided to improvise with this small bag. I really don't know what this is, but I got something close to what I was looking for, which works and has been working. It was quite tiny, so I just had to manage it for this batch. I'll let it drain in the fridge overnight, depending on how thick I want it. The longer it strains, the thicker the yogurt becomes. So the liquid that drained out is called whey, W-H-E-Y. So it's still very nutritious. You can use it for smoothies, baking, and even for fermenting other foods, and even for drinking just as it is, okay? I've even seen some vendors selling it on the streets of Instagram. It's ready to the consistency I want. So you notice that the texture is much denser. That is Greek yogurt. At this stage, you can enjoy it plain, sweetened with honey, date syrup, paired with granola, fresh fruits. I mean, you can go wild. I finally found what I was looking for, a proper cheesecloth. I was super duper excited. So this is not like a cheesecloth per se, but I'd say this is a muslin. All right, muslin cloth. This is what it looks like. It was much bigger, easier to use, and allows the whey to drain properly, so giving that perfect thick Greek yogurt texture, as you can see. Thank you so much for watching. All right, do not forget to subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll be waiting to reply to your messages and your questions. Till I come your way next time. Ciao.